Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar series. My name is Jonathan Cicheran. I am the Innovation and Digital Business Officer here at Caribbean Export Development Agency. And I want to welcome each and every one of you all to our first installment of our webinar series on open innovation and corporate venturing, entitled Unlocking Growth Through Corporate Startup Collaboration in the Caribbean. At Caribbean Expo, we are especially excited about today's conversation. Open innovation is not just a buzzword, it's a necessary strategy for unlocking the kind of transformation we envision for Caribbean firms. We truly believe, and all the participants here, I believe, understand that it's a very necessary strategy for unlocking the kind of transformation we envision throughout the Caribbean and for the Caribbean private sector. And we are more than delighted to foster this collaboration between corporates and startups. Today's agenda brings together regional voices and global perspectives to share practical insights and stories. I want to extend a special thanks to the European Union and members of the EU-LAC Digital Accelerator and the Development Bank of Jamaica for being here today and supporting the efforts to build a stronger innovation ecosystem in the Caribbean through this first installment in our webinar series. To those of you who represent the interests of the regional private sector, thank you for being in attendance and being part of this important dialogue. And we look forward to all the ideas and chats and questions and the opportunities that will emerge from today's discussion. As we kick things right off, it is now my esteemed honor to introduce Her Excellency Dr. Erha Ascola, Head of the European Delegation to Jamaica, Belize, and Bahamas. Her Excellency is no stranger to the Caribbean, as she has worked for several years on the EU's trade relations with African, Caribbean, and Pacific partners, among others. Her Excellency has co-chaired the CARIFORUM EU Trade Committee within the Economic Partnership Agreement before taking up her diplomatic postings. Her Excellency has considerable experience in European Union's external relations and diplomacy, from political and trade negotiations to matters relating to sustainable development and disaster relief. Her Excellency also has specific interest in small island developing states, as evidenced by her previous posting as Deputy Head of the EU Delegation for the Pacific in Fiji, covering 13 Pacific Island countries. It is now my esteemed pleasure again to now invite her to grace us with a few welcoming remarks.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your extensive introduction, and good morning to all the participants. I'm very happy to join you online in this webinar to launch the Digital Connectors Jamaica initiative as part of our Open Innovation in Action. I would like to say that this initiative is a groundbreaking initiative because it will actively enable Jamaican corporates and tech startups to engage with the corporates across Europe, but also across Latin America. So it's much broader than just, part of our bilateral partnership between the Caribbean and Europe. So it also allows companies and startups, individuals to engage throughout Latin America. Now, the European Union, through its Global Gateway Initiative investment agenda, is committed to supporting initiatives like this. Simply because we believe that digital trade and investments and private sector development, digitalization, digital transformation, those are really the big engines, powerful engines of development and sustainable development. And they reinforce economic resilience in the partner countries and unlock opportunities for businesses to thrive. And that's the backbone of the economy. For this reason, the digital connectors is not just about connections, but it is also about crafting joint solutions for the challenges of today and the challenges of tomorrow. We always need to have this kind of forward-looking approach to address the future needs and future generations. This is why it has been designed to facilitate global exposure, valuable partnerships, and impactful collaborations for Jamaican businesses. I truly believe that the Digital Connectors Initiative will open doors to dynamic markets. It will expose Jamaican entrepreneurs to diverse business cultures and diverse business needs. And it will also unlock the potential to create solutions that could scale across continents. And I hope that it will certainly do so. This initiative in our system is part of the EU Latin America Caribbean Digital Accelerator Program, which has allocated 5 million euros to the Caribbean. So this is significant, and let's take good advantage of this the funding available. I thank Caribbean Export for organizing these kind of sessions to make it happen. Our goal is to enhance the innovation capabilities and of startups and SMEs specializing in digital field. And the accelerator provides support services for the creation of joint ventures between the Caribbean, Latin American, and the EU. In Jamaica, we are partnering with Caribbean Export and Caribbean Export Development Agency that we call CEDA, and the Development Bank of Jamaica to deepen the participation of Jamaican businesses and entrepreneurship and innovation ecosystem within the digital accelerator. And I want to comment their leadership, both Caribbean Export and the Caribbean Development Bank, in making this happen, and also our other esteemed partners for making this event a reality. We are now about to start concrete activities under this digital accelerator, and the work with Jamaican businesses to put substance to this important agreement is crucial. So we need to move from talking to walking the talk. I'm confident that today's webinar will be highly valuable in laying the groundwork for subsequent capacity building activities, and it will be undertaken over the coming weeks with different groups of people and groups of entrepreneurs. I hope this collaboration will prove to be effective and fruitful. So thank you very much for giving me this time and listening to me. And I wish you all a very fruitful and inspiring event. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency, for your welcoming remarks and for reminding us that digitalization is definitely an engine for sustainable development. We thank you. I will now like to proceed to our first panelist, our first presenter, Mr. Leo North, who is the Deputy Executive Director for right here at Caribbean Export Development Agency. Leo is an experienced economic development and government relations professional who has a specific focus on policy building initiatives related to foreign direct investments and private sector competitiveness. Since 2021, Leo has served as the Deputy Executive Director right here at Caribbean Export Development Agency, where he leads the agency's sub-regional office in Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. I have heard that beside all this work that Leo does, he's an avid digital media and tech enthusiast. So I'll now like to invite Leo to tell us a bit more about the EU-LAC Digital Accelerator. Leo, over to you.
Thank you very much, Jonathan and Ambassador Escola. Really appreciate those welcoming remarks. Hello, everybody, and good morning. I'm going to be sharing my screen. For those that are not fully aware or know about all of the different things about the EU-LAC Digital Accelerator, I wanted to share with you a couple of details on this program, because I think it would be good for you to understand under which framework we're actually moving forward with this program for those that haven't been able to engage with the accelerator as of yet. But can everybody see my screen? Lovely. Okay, well, as I mentioned, the EU-LAC Digital Accelerator is more than a regional program. It's really a strategic vehicle designed to connect corporates with startups across Europe, Latin America, and the Caribbean. We really want to be able to forge those partnerships that co-create digital solutions that solve problems and strengthen our economic resilience. This program comes with the generous funding of the European Union through its Global Gateway Initiative, which really is setting the tone in terms of transformational areas for the region and building a closer tie with Europe and its partners. And speaking of partners, I'm here to show you, and I think I'm joined by a good part of our colleagues. There is a strong team behind this program, a consortium of global and regional actors that are really looking forward to bring together this program to its fruition. Led by Tecnalia, the consortium is comprised by us, Caribbean Export, here in the Caribbean, Tecnalia Colombia, based in South America, Guaira, which is the innovation arm of Telefonica, also based in South America, YESE Business School, which is one of the leading executive education entities across the world, Octantis, Expertise France, the European Business Network, and the European Business Angel Network. So as you can see, there is a combined global force behind this program. So how do we do this, and how do we make this program a reality? Well, what we want to do, as I mentioned, is forge these partnerships through acceleration. And here you will see what is the acceleration pathway. It starts from two different ways. There is the ways the corporates can engage with the program, as well as how startups participate. At the core of this program, this acceleration pathway is the process that starts with corporates identifying a digital or innovation challenge that they haven't been able to solve it themselves, and really ends with the deployment of a solution that is co-developed with a startup. The same way, a startup can engage with the program by identifying challenges that are in our matching platform, which I'll share later on, and seeing and identifying that they can actually provide a solution, and engaging with that corporate to provide that solution for them. As you can see, where that partnership with that magic happens is particularly here in the middle, where we definitely have that open call for partnerships, where we want partnerships that have been formed organically to also be part of this as well. And the goal is that once that partnership is formed, then you develop that roadmap of how you'll create that digital solution together, receive the acceleration services from the different consortium members, and then become a successful EU-LAC joint venture. Sorry, just trying to, there we go. So how do we provide these services, and what are these services that are part of this program? At the core, we have three main pillars for the services that we do offer here in the accelerator. So how we considered a partnership accelerated is when we've provided services either helping the proof of concept design, where we could lead the startup and the corporate through an open innovation boot camps, and really looking at how that corporate venturing model will definitely work. There's a lot of assistance and technical assistance provided in the proof of concept design and prototyping, just to make sure that that solution really is solving that challenge that was identified. The other main big pillar of our services is really in the business case ideation and business model design, where we help both corporates and startups really develop what would be the business case for this solution. We also examine what would be the wider scope in terms of an international growth and soft landing. Also, those IP or intellectual property issues that need to be, safeguarded to ensure that the solution remains within your property and also that you're able to work on it for a successful commercial model. And then we get to the third pillar of our services, which is the investment and scaling. And there, when you see that the solution is good and you want to scale this into an actual corporate structure, an actual joint venture, where you see that there's an opportunity to grow the solution beyond that prototype, then we help, and there's where our partners, particularly from the European Business Network and Angel Network, work with us, is in how do we help scale this into corporate structures? How do we ensure that that solution is investor ready, so we can be presented to outside investors that would want to take some participation in equity to help you grow that solution? When we talk about all of these services have a cost, and this is what the accelerator really comes in. All of these services are valued, the conglomerate of all of these services that are provided to accelerated partnerships can rise up to 40,000 euros, particularly for Caribbean stakeholders. And that is something that is the real value added for entities, where you get all of these services provided and fully covered by the accelerator and this program. A core tenet of our program is this matching platform, where all of the innovation challenges that are presented by corporates are conceived. Beyond funding, our matching platform really remains the engine of this accelerator. It's where, again, these challenges are posted by the corporates, but also where startups can see where are the challenges looking for and seeing, and they are able to provide solutions for. If we were to look back at the acceleration pathway, this is where really the matching happens and the partnerships begin to form. We've already seen increased traction from Caribbean actors, particularly from Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, and Trinidad, and really are looking to develop that more with you, and engage you more so you can participate in the matching platform. The matching platform is completely available for anybody to sign up, and you will be able to see all of the challenges and corporate actors that are there. So we've talked to you a little bit about what the accelerator is. Well, but you're saying, but what do you actually have done? Like, where are the results and what is the impact? So, until I believe that this data is as soon as April, and we've had 118 corporates engaged, plus from the European Union, from Latin America, and the Caribbean, we've had around 41 for a total of 275 corporates. We've engaged and have participating around 1,300 startup and SMEs. And the wider stakeholder environment or ecosystem that is also engaged with the accelerator rises to around 300 organizations. And these could be business support organizations, public sector organizations, and folks that are really in the economic development and business acceleration fields. To date, I believe that we've solved for a couple of more challenges. We're at 81 as of today, and have been able to amass around 291 challenges. So this shows you that, it's not that we're just accumulating challenges. These challenges are either getting solved or we're refining them to make them better. So it's really helping those corporates with their innovation journeys and ensuring that startups can actually link up to those challenges and become part of the solution for those corporates. When we just closed our open call for partnerships, and this, which closed, I believe, at the end of last month, on April 30th, where we invited partnerships that have been formed organically to come and apply for the acceleration, for the accelerator to receive the acceleration services. Happy to see that in the Caribbean we've started going up in numbers, and I believe, though this is from March, I believe at the end of the acceleration of the call for partnerships, we had around 6 to 7 partnerships that applied. So the accelerator will definitely be meeting to see which partnerships move on to the next phase. And in terms of actual formed partnerships, in the Caribbean, we've definitely seen an uptick that is moving forward. Here, I just wanted to show a quick slide on which are the open call results and which are the country pairings that are partnering between corporates and startups. As you can see, we've had already several collaboration agreements signed. That is when the partnership is actually formed and the acceleration services start getting provided. Now, let's take a zoom in at what actually has worked for us. So we're happy to announce that we've had our first Caribbean partnership already launched, and it's actually from Jamaica. We have the startup is ID Maps, and it's in a partnership with the Engage Group from Italy, where they're providing a solution to leverage artificial intelligence to help with real-time data monitoring to detect and prevent online fraud, which is a fantastic solution nowadays. What the accelerator will be providing is particularly on those 3 main pillars of services. So in proof of concept, we've already engaged with them in designing a roadmap and proof of concept design, helping them with the machine learning and data architecture advisory. In terms of the business case, we're really providing them with a regulatory guidance on anti-fraud and anti-money laundering policies, as well with IP support to ensure that that algorithm that is developed really is secure. Definitely, this is a solution that can be scaled. So we're helping them with the investment readiness and the pitch development so they can engage outside investors. We just recently launched this partnership in March 2025 and will be ongoing. So we're happy to see that there's already engagement and participation from the Caribbean. In terms of other successful partnerships, this has been, I think, one of our most touted partnerships, which is with InfoTrack, which is a corporate from Colombia and a startup from Spain. The good thing about this accelerator, which I think I neglected to mention, is that there is a regional specificity to this program, where if the corporate is from the Caribbean, it can connect with a startup from Latin America and in Europe. And if the corporate is from Europe, then it will connect with a startup from Latin America or the Caribbean. What does this ensure? This ensures that corporations in the Caribbean that haven't been able to overcome an innovation challenge on their own or found a solution in the region can link up with startups in Latin America and Europe that already have the capacity to overcome that challenge. And in the same way, it allows our startups here in the Caribbean to be able to connect with major corporations that haven't been able to find a specific solution. And given the resiliency and the challenges that we overcome in the Caribbean, we found a solution to overcome it, and are able to connect and become part of that supply chain for that digital supply chain for that corporate. So This is another partnership, as I mentioned, where we really, the startup is providing integration of artificial vision technology to enable real-time inventory traceability, providing a competitive advantage to reach new customers in Latin America for this Latin American corporate. This partnership ended in 2024 and really has been a great success story. If we look at some of the comments from some of our for example, from the corporate side, they really talk about how the accelerator was able to be able to connect them with a solution that really has been transformational for them. In the same way, for the startup, it really does help them get more of a foothold in Latin America, which is the great functionality of this program in creating those cross-regional bonds. Lastly, another successful partnership that we've been able to launch more with now a corporate from Europe and a startup from Latin America, that actually is ongoing, and again is really providing those services and those three main pillars to ensure that the partnership is successful and is sustainable in time. And just a couple of comments more from our folks at Media Lab, at MedLab, sorry, and from Dataflow, which is the Uruguayan startup. But all this to say that we definitely have seen these success stories be transformational for both corporates and startups, and are looking for more of this engagement in the Caribbean. And with that, I end my presentation. I'm leaving my contact information here, and you would be able to scan our QR code to connect with us. The entire team here at Caribbean Export and the rest of the consortium is available for assistance. So feel free to tap us from the startup side and the corporate side, so we can engage with you and ensure that there is a good participation from the Caribbean in this program. Thank you very much, and back to you, Jonathan.
Thank you so much for the insights provided on the EU-LAC Digital Accelerator, Leo. Just a couple of things I'd like to mention. Leo mentioned a core tenet of this is forming partnerships between corporates and startups to work together collaboratively to put forward digital solutions to challenges that affect corporates. So thank you for that, Leo. We will now move on to our other panelist, Mr. Miguel Rodriguez. Miguel works at Octantis as an open innovation consultant and is a big part of our EU-LAC Digital Accelerator team. For nearly 2 decades, he has worked with companies and entrepreneurs to develop new businesses. He has also led startup incubation and acceleration programs, and he has gained a deep insight and expertise in how corporates can innovate with startups. So without further ado, I invite Miguel to share some insights with us.
Thank you, Jonathan, and everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here today. I mean, my main goal is to share, as Jonathan was mentioning, some insights about open innovation, and just try to share why we are doing what we are doing with EU-LAC Digital Accelerator. So let me share my screen first so I can focus on the speech. I think just a minute so I can properly. Okay. Sorry. I'm going to do it again. Okay. I believe now it is working, right? Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you so much. As mentioned, my goal for today is to share some insights about how Caribbean firms can leverage open innovation providing some background on the activity we are doing with a EU-LAC digital accelerator, not only in the Caribbean, but also in Latin America and Europe. So I want to start with why open innovation, why we believe this is relevant for companies, and why we also believe this could be relevant for the audience. I think the ambassador already mentioned. I mean, there are so many challenges we are facing as societies and companies. And obviously, science and technology are key drivers to solve those challenges. No, this is the very beginning of the story. But first of all, and mainly, we believe that open innovation is driven mainly by how technological disruption is happening. I mean, the disruption technology is providing is accelerating more and more. If we take into account how many times companies have to adapt to adopt the technologies of the industrial revolution. I mean, they have almost 100 years in order to adapt to those changes. Right now, for example, with generative artificial intelligence, it has taken only 2 years. I mean, companies don't have that much time nowadays in order to integrate technologies into their operations to stay relevant and to stay alive. No, this is the main message here. No, the tech disruption is accelerating, and the adoption time that companies have is becoming shorter and shorter compared as how it used to be in the past. So this is the first message. I mean, change is happening, and it is happening so fast. And probably it will get more and more complex. I mean, there are several technological breakthroughs happening at the same time with artificial intelligence, robotic, computing, space, energy, and so on. I mean, it's hard to catch up on novel technologies that are being developed every year, every decade. So what we can foresee is that the technological landscape is going to get more complex and more interconnected than ever. So it demands that companies and both corporates, startups, I mean, they need to get expertise in fields that are not connected in the very first place. So the second message here is that this is becoming more and more complex, and we need to be updated constantly on new trends, on new technologies, testing them and implementing them into corporate processes. Why? What is making? Why is this being so fast? Some ideas. I mean, first, obviously, it's because costs are decreasing. So now is cheaper. I mean, to develop certain technology. So cost has been decreased. We live in a globalized world in which knowledge is shared. With EU-LAC, I mean, we are working with companies Latin America, Caribbean, Europe. So this is shared knowledge between companies. So this makes that things happen faster. And companies are more and are increasing more and more in their budgets in innovation. No, this is also happening worldwide. So some ideas or some issues on why those breakthroughs, those innovations are approaching faster and faster. So that's the first issue. I mean, that this landscape is so hard to navigate. Obviously, large corporates, many decades ago, they already saw that this could lead into an opportunity. I'm providing some examples of well-known companies that, thanks to technology, are developing new business areas and are making their businesses evolve, as Amazon with their web services. I mean, they have a huge infrastructure in order to support cloud services, and this was not their original mission. Microsoft, they are having a really good decade selling all the cloud services. Philips, when back in the day they enter into the health market, into the healthcare market, which wasn't their original mission as well. Schneider Electric with IoT solutions, Adobe with digital experience. Anyway, just a few cases of corporates that already show this in the very first place, and that are leveraging those technologies in order to create new businesses and new opportunities. No, and this is not happening only with the large one, but this is happening with any kind of companies. Considering, I mean, this background and this environment that we have, something that is becoming more and more obvious is that companies cannot address this change on their own. I mean, the landscape is not stable, and normally it is becoming harder for companies to do it on their own. So just in a very practical way, this is a quote by one of the pioneers in open innovation that summarized the concept as this. I mean, open innovation assumes that firms can and should use external ideas as well as internal ideas, and internal and external paths to market as the firms look to advance their technology. I mean, this is the mission that open innovation has, and this is the mission that we have as well with EU-LAC Digital Accelerator. I mean, opening the doors of companies and finding talent overseas in order to explore which opportunities can be leveraged by companies. As mentioned, I think I'm repeating myself that this is getting more and more traction because the landscape is getting harder to navigate. So many technologies, so many markets to be addressed to stay competitive. So open innovation at the very end is a way to explore and to identify quickly which technologies could be better implemented into our companies. Obviously, building systems, building procedures, and building ecosystems in order to allow to do it in a systematic way requires time and requires involving a lot of stakeholders, technological centers, universities, investors, startups, companies, public authorities, and so on. So it takes time and is not an easy task. But if we want to start quick and fast, I mean, from the experience that we are having with EU-LAC, obviously innovating with a startup and take SMEs is a good way to start testing or playing with this open innovation scheme. So I'm going to focus very briefly. I mean, considering that this is the general background in which companies are moving, we have several stakeholders and several opportunities to implement open innovation. Right now, I just wanted to provide some insights about how to do it with specifically with startups and tech SMEs. And why this is relevant for us? I mean, this is a quote once again by another pioneer in corporate venturing, in startup, in corporate startup innovation, Gregor Jimmy, and I think he summarized it pretty well. I mean, and startup is relevant, is a relevant stakeholder to innovate because they have the potential to save companies 1 million euros per year in cost or generate the same amount in new revenue. No, if we want to summarize and be specific, I mean, this is what corporates are looking for when collaborating with startups. I mean, getting access to emerging technologies, to emerging companies that have the potential to have a significant impact on business operations or revenue streams. This is a trend, or the startup landscape is booming worldwide. I mean, there are startups everywhere, and the market is highly consolidated. I mean, since the early in the early 2000. So this is already an industry of startup, of investors backing this kind of companies. Why they are so relevant? They should be relevant for companies. First of all, they are very impact driven. I mean, startups, sorry, are funded to have an impact into the market, to generate revenue, and to maximize value creation. So this is the mission they have when a new startup is created. They have so highly specialized teams and technologies, so they are focusing just one very specific thing. This is hard to find, and they are agile. I mean, they are fast to accommodate to some requirements that corporates may have. So this is something that corporates are already aware. I mean, up to 80% of the large ones are already working with startups, with different schemes, with different alternatives. So this is becoming more and more common everywhere. However, implementing those collaborations is not being easy. Around there are different studies, but around 50-60% of collaborations between startups and corporates don't reach the objectives that they have. I mean, don't get to a scale, and this is one of the main issues that we are addressing also within our accelerator, trying to improve this success rate. Why this is happening? Obviously, the rewards that companies may have when collaborating with startups are so high. They will be able to test innovative emerging technologies at a very early stage that can probably have a huge impact into their businesses. But there are also some risks that needs to be considered as well when working with a startup. The technological feasibility, the limited resources that companies normally have. Objectives can be not aligned between corporates and startups. And then when we are thinking about how to implement those solutions, those innovations into our processes, is not that easy as it may seem. So there are 4 or 5 main challenges that needs to be addressed in order to make it happen. And what it is happening more and more is that companies are dedicating specific teams, a specific infrastructure, and specific units to address those challenges. There you have some examples of companies who are setting up their own mechanisms, their own initiatives in order to work with startups in a systematic way, because it deserves, I mean, some to address those challenges. And I mean, some issues that if we want to start or with EU-LAC or with other initiative working with the startups that are normally recommended, 3 main topics. First one is obviously innovation must be driven by business units. That's why we insist on challenge that companies have. I mean, this is the starting point. If there are no challenge, if the business unit is not engaged into the process, it will be really hard to scale any solution. Then we need to avoid, I mean, entering into the corporate black hole. I mean, corporates normally shouldn't pretend that startups will work as larger companies, and startups on the other way need to understand how to, I mean, the corporate playbook. No, so this is something about a cultural shift that both profiles normally need to do. And then maybe not having, which could be really obvious, but not clear goals about why we are working together in the very first place. So innovation should be derived into making something happening. And this is, I mean, mainly it. Obviously, any question, anything that you'd like to highlight, it will be very welcome. We just wanted to share some insights on the why we are doing this, why we are setting up this initiative, and supporting EU-LAC as a very first step on entering into open innovation. Just to finalize, I mean, there is a saying that I think it applies really well. I mean, innovating with a startup is about elephants and gazelles dancing together with stepping on each other. So different animals on the same environment, different goals. So somehow what we are trying to do with these kind of initiatives is to create an environment in which both animals, both type of companies can work properly together. No, so that's the last message I just wanted to deliver, and thank you so much.
Thanks, Miguel. Thanks, Miguel, for that overview of open innovation and reminding us that change is indeed happening and companies must adapt and pivot to suit, to stay relevant, to stay alive, and to foster innovation, growth, development. Just a quick reminder, if there are any questions, you can use the question and answers button at the bottom of the screen and you can place your questions there and we will answer it accordingly. Um, so let's move right on to our next panelist. Our next panelist is Mr. Ruben Karandi, and he will take us through some global examples of successful partnerships using open innovation, using that same concept that Miguel just explained to us. Ruben is a seasoned expert in innovation and entrepreneurship, serving as a senior project lead at the European Business and Innovation Center Network, EBN, which is who are part of the consortium of partners executing the EU-LAC Digital Accelerator. With more than 2 decades of experience, I'm sure we will all take heed to listen to his experience and to what he has to say to us. So, Ruben, the floor is open to you. Please.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. When you say more than 20 years, I feel old. Let me put my presentation in full screen size. Can you see it okay? Okay, perfect. So thanks. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. As mentioned by Jonathan, I'm Ruben Karandi, Senior Project Leader at EBN, the European Business and Innovation Center Network, where we work every day to empower innovation ecosystems across Europe and beyond. Let me start with a very short introduction about my organizations. My organization, EBN, is a network of more than 175 members, like business incubators, accelerators, technology parks, universities, and other organizations working with a common objective, that of supporting innovative entrepreneurships. Our members are spread all around Europe and beyond, and one way they are supporting innovators, companies and entrepreneurs is by connecting startups and corporations through open innovation, the topic we are speaking about today. Taking some use cases from our network and from other programs, today I'd like to share some compelling global examples of how open innovation has catalyzed successful partnerships between corporates and startups, and what we have learned from them. I will share some examples in different countries and sectors, trying to provide insights into real cases that could be linked to the sectors in which you are working. But as mentioned by the previous speakers, I will share my email at the end of the presentation, and for questions you can use the feature in the Zoom platform, but also contact my colleagues anytime during the implementation of the project that will last still 2.5 years more. So, well, going straight to the point, and I would like to share here the first case from a company whose products I'm sure you all have at home. The first story is about the collaboration through open innovation between the multinational consumer company Procter & Gamble, working in this case to foster plastic-free packaging with a startup that is helping them with this. As Miguel was mentioning, the corporate works in the specific activity, in this case, production of consumer goods, and they are partnering with a startup that is working in the field of packaging. Procter & Gamble, in this case, the Italian branch, had a challenge to have more plastic-free recyclable packaging for liquid detergents. And they wanted to create an innovative decentralized value chain, making use of CO2 as feedstock for the production of high-performance biopolymers and using this for the packaging of the liquid detergent. So they were looking for an SME or a startup that would offer this plastic-free recyclable packaging. Within this context, Procter & Gamble Italy started to work with the company CO2 BioClean from Germany that is experienced in transforming CO2 emissions into biopolymers, biopolymers that can be used in materials in everyday life. The unique selling proposition of this company is using this CO2 by using technology as a modular solution for creating other materials. So Procter & Gamble first required the identification of some plastic-free packaging that could contain cleaning fluids, these detergents we are speaking about, and that was compatible with existing recycling streams. So the solution proposed by this startup, CO2 BioClean, consisted on a material formulation with different blocks that was biodegradable, and this feature was also an advantage because it's designed to be compatible with the paper stream. So in total, these two companies, Procter & Gamble and CO2 BioClean, were working in creating 8 formulations and compounds, realizing different tests and analyze their stability. And as a result, the proofs they made showed that there were very stable packaging for liquid detergents, and they are now promising candidates for the companies working together in further testing and prototyping, and finally adopting this new packaging for the liquid detergents. So Procter & Gamble not working on packaging, but working or collaborating with the external world, with one startup through open innovation to find a solution for that challenge. Going to the second use case or the second success story, this one comes from Germany, from the corporate Siemens Energy, one of the world's leading energy technology companies that manufactures highly efficient steam turbines. These turbines are part of many different industrial power plants, and the required steam is already partly provided by climate-friendly energy supplies, such as concentrated solar power or biomass, but also still including some fossil fuel fire, which is not climate-friendly technology. So they wanted to change this, and they were looking for innovative technologies that would provide more climate-friendly process steam. So they started to look for startups that could help them with these challenges, and they found Energienering a company that is specialized in R&D for industrial plants and large organizations, and who works delivering innovative technology implementations to help these factories, to help these industries to become more energy efficient and environmentally friendly. So, and Energy and Siemens Energy, the teams agreed on the scope of the project, and from that agreement they started to work on a solution that the startup already had, and with a patent pending, in fact, and they together created a simplified calculation tool for the consumption of energy. So the tool is nowadays used to estimate the mass and energy flows and linked to the reduction of the fossil fuel consumption of the Siemens Energy turbines. As a result, both companies today, Siemens Energy and Engineering, have exchanged different information, data, scenarios, and have progressed the collaboration toward the development of a combined solution. So both of them would be the owners of the solution, and they can sell together the solution to other clients of Siemens Energy industrial plants. So from that initial collaboration, they are now working together also for the commercialization of the solution beyond the Siemens factories. The third case we wanted to share is coming from Spain, and is linked to the food sector in this case. Something so, let's say, common in our lives as olive oil in this case, produced by a family-owned company from Spain, called Aceites Maeva, that sells extra virgin olive oil not only in Spain but also in other 45 countries, and with offices also in the United States, in China, France, Japan, and a bottling plant in Mexico. So in order to enhance the efficiency of their operations when sending the olive oil bottles abroad, and adapting to the different particularities in the field, for example, of type of transport, quantity ordered, or the packaging required that is different from one market to another. They decided to take part in one program, Open Innovation Program, organized by the Spanish Network of Business Innovation Centers, or BICS, and that invites different companies, corporates, to share the digital transformation challenges, and then helps them to find the startups that could have solutions for those challenges. So in this case, the corporate, Aceites Maeva, found a solution to its challenge in the startup Táctica TIC, that is a Spanish technology-based company founded in 2017, specialized in supporting companies, industries in the digital transformation processes. The approach of this Táctica TIC startup focuses on the combination of technologies such as sensing, computer vision, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, to develop innovative solutions that could make more efficient the different processes of corporate. So together they developed and implemented an intelligent order management system using machine learning algorithms, and the process of creating and following the orders and the purchase order internationally was automated and made more accurate and precise. This was the starting point for the collaboration between the companies. One specific challenge from the corporate that was solved in this specific program by this startup, but After the resolution of the challenge, the corporate engaged directly with the startup to refine and implement the solution, making the beginning of a promising long-term partnership. So one specific project, one specific solution can be the starting point of a long and stable client-provider relationship. So about to reach the end, want to share an example that is coming from a completely different sector, insurance. This was formed under the support of one program that's called the Innovation Exchange, implemented by an EVN member in Ireland, that again connects corporates that have a challenge with startups that could help them in that country. In this case, the protagonist was the corporate AXA Insurance Ireland, one of the country's largest and oldest insurance providers, and that has in the world more than 100 million customers. Well, in this case, the company AXA aimed to improve the accessibility and the inclusivity of their physical facilities, their physical work environments, ensuring that all employees and customers, regardless of their ability, could navigate and utilize the facilities effectively. Well, AXA Insurance is an insurance company, not focused or not with a specialty in accessibility, inclusivity, or facilities. So for this, they contracted Access Earth, that is an Irish technology company working specifically on this topic, enhancing global accessibility through innovative digital solutions. This startup was founded in 2015 by Matt McCann, who has cerebral palsy, and the company was born out of his experience, his personal experiences with inadequate accessibility information during travel. He created this company that was contacted by AXA Insurance, and they provided the startup Access Earth software products, consultancy services, and conducting comprehensive assessment of the physical facilities of the corporate. Then, based on this, they developed some actionable strategies to enhance inclusivity within the workplace. And they also implemented tools and also training to foster an inclusive culture among staff and managers. As a result, this collaboration enabled AXA to make more informed decisions on modifying their physical facilities, physical spaces, and organizational practices, taking into account the needs of persons with different abilities. And for the startup, for Access Earth, this partnership was a very important opportunity to show the impact of the solution working with a very well-known international company. So opening doors also to new markets. Let me finish with one example that was already mentioned by Leo at the beginning of the presentation. It is one of those that we have supported successfully in the project EU-LAC Digital Accelerator. As mentioned by Leo, this partnership was formed by the corporate InfoTrack from Colombia, that is specialized in smart logistics and supply chain management. And they have developed a solution called Smart Stock, a software as a service, that was aimed to revolutionize inventory management and logistic operations. However, they faced, within the context of this new tool, some challenges. Still, the process involved considerable resource usage and could be prone to some errors. So with the constant increase in the demand for more accurate and agile solution, they decided to apply to the EU-LAC Digital Accelerator. They post, they challenging the matching platform I showed at the beginning, and we started to look for solvers for this challenge on the other side of the ocean. We started to look for solvers in Europe, but also in the Caribbean. As a result, we identified one company, one startup that in fact is a spin-off of the university, created in 2020, and specializing in computer vision and artificial intelligence. So through the EU-LAC Digital Accelerator, we identified this company, Blecker, and matched them, proposed them to Infotrack. They agreed to work together, and as a result, Blecker integrated its artificial vision technology into this Infotrack smart stock platform. This integration allowed them to provide accurate and real-time product verification, streamline warehouse operations through artificial intelligence and image segmentation, and also enhancing transit management across the supply chains. This collaboration, this support from the project allowed them to develop a proof of concept for the integrated solution, and we also provided to them a comprehensive product roadmap of all those solutions that could be exploited together by the two companies. And we worked already in preparing an internationalization plan for expanding this solution, the smart stock solution from Infotrack, improved or powered by the technologies of Blecker Tech, across Latin America. And we provided some contacts in Colombia, Panama, and Mexico. Just to finish for today, some reflections. What do all these cases have in common? And it's also linked with what Miguel was mentioning. There's always a shared vision. Partners need to be aligned around a common challenge and opportunity. There are complementary strengths. We are speaking about corporates with some specific capacities, but lacking others in which the startups are experts, and they together are bringing something unique. So something that is important as well is, well, there's the need to create a value exchange. Each partner must know what are they getting and giving. It must be a win-win situation. And also flexible frameworks in this context of open innovation, of rapidity, of fast evolution of technologies and contexts that Miguel was also mentioning is key. So it's important to be open, flexible, when legal, financial, and strategic structures change. So also wanted to share two recommendations. We are seeing that some of these collaborations have been promoted or fostered or powered by different projects involving different partners, such as this is the case, while complementing the capacities of the startup and the corporates. And it is necessary to have or to receive support from experts in technology, marketing, innovation, and business. So nowadays that the challenges are more and more complex, more diverse solutions are needed. Open innovation requires speed and requires adaptability. It is not outsourcing, it's collaboration. So there is the need to be supported on this. Innovation is a team sport, and we are here to help. The team of the EU-LAC Digital Accelerator is available to help you. So let's work together on this, and not just as a theory, but as a daily practice. We would be happy, as mentioned, to reply to any question now or also in the coming days and months to help you progress with open innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ruben, for your insights. Just one thing I'd like to mention in Ruben's presentation, I took note of the type of corporations that were engaging in open innovation, and these are multinational corporations that we're all familiar with. So, if these big multinational corporations could engage in open innovation, then maybe it's something that we here in the Caribbean should definitely take a look at. Um, Before we move on to the next presenter, I just want to remind all that if you have a question, you can drop it in the question and answers tab at the bottom of the webinar. Some questions will be answered directly there, some questions we'll leave at the end. I would also like to encourage all the participants to check our chat. There are some links for the EU-LAC Digital Accelerator Matching Platform, as well as the various social media handles for anything EU-LAC Digital Accelerator related. And also, just as a general announcement, yes, the presentations will be sent and the recordings will be sent. So no worries there. So as we move along, we have a very interesting segment here where I would like to introduce Mr. Jose Antonio Estevez, Head of Innovation and Projects at ALSA, who will give us from his practical experience and share with us his insights from a practical point of view, what he has engaged in open innovation. So, Jose, the floor is open for you.
Thank you. I'm going to share my presentation. I just, lost the view of you, but I guess that you see my presentation, right?
All is well. All is well.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. So for those of you who don't know my company, ALSA is the leading operator in the Spanish road passenger transport sector. We are part of an international group called Mobico, uh, uh, which has operations in the UK, the US, the continental Europe, and a few countries in North Africa and the Middle East. In addition to operating bus and coaches services, we also have a growing business in the medical transport and railway transport. And in addition to all of this, we manage almost 300 infrastructures just in Spain, um, uh, including bus stations, service areas, and vehicle maintenance areas. Um, these are some key figures to understand the dimension of the company. We have a float of more than 6,000 buses, and last year, just in Spain, we served almost 600 million passengers as I said, in my country. ALSA sorry, ALSA Vehicles, its R&D through an innovation center, which is physically located in Asturias, which is in the north of Spain. And this is the region where the company started its business 100 years ago. The innovation center works on two levels: R&D projects related to the application of emerging technologies in mobility, and innovation pilots with startups or spin-offs when the focus is on pre-commercial or commercial solutions that aim to test their impact on the business of corporations, which may be potential clients or users of their solutions. We have also a fundraising office to identify public calls for R&D programs, and we also invest our own funds in R&D. The balance between the two types of funding usually has to do with the level of risk associated with the projects. And in all cases, the projects or pilots are designed and implemented hand in hand with the business areas. All our R&D activity is strongly business oriented, with clear qualitative and quantitative KPIs and impact assessment. This outline describes the process we implement with the innovation ecosystem we have with startups. On one hand, we carry out an internal scouting process to identify startups whose products or services have a potential impact on one of our business areas. And on the other hand, we establish alliances, partnerships with initiatives such as EU-LAC, previously presented by Ruben Carrandi, which allow us to disseminate our corporate challenges and reach new startups in other countries. The collaboration between ALSA and a big corporation in the mobility sector such as ALSA and startups is not an exception in Europe. All the large groups in the mobility sector in Europe implement similar initiatives that aim to foster collaboration between entrepreneurs and large corporations. Here are two references of the work, the collaboration we have with startups. The one on the left was indeed my first innovation pilot here in ALSA. We had to deal with a major problem in the mobility sector, which is the management of lost and found objects. Previous to the collaboration with FoundSpot, which is a Spanish startup, we had a very well structured process which relied just on the hands of the people working in the stations, which was really time consuming. And we found FoundSpot, which is a startup, Spanish startup, which has developed an AI algorithm that automates the matching between lost property claims and objects found in buses and stations. The adoption of their solution has had a significant impact on several aspects of the processes associated with the management of lost objects, reduction of operational time, increase in the number of objects returned to clients, and also a significant reduction in the cost of compensations for non-return objects. The second collaboration is with the Madrid Green Urban Mobility Lab, which is an initiative promoted by the Madrid City Council to connect the network of startups based in the region with large companies operating in the city, with the aim of promoting innovation and making Madrid a benchmark in smart, sustainable, and connected mobility. I will end my intervention sharing with you the challenges we currently have ongoing. One of them is dealing with environmental sustainability. We aim to reduce the carbon footprint of the company through the electrification of the fleet and other alternatives, and its possible application to the railway sector in training operation and infrastructure management. The second major line is safety. ALSA is constantly committed with the safety of our operations with the use of new technologies which might prevent cognitive impairment in the bus drivers, and we also work in the detection of obstacles in the roads, implementing V2X projects. And the third line of the third major challenge we have in the company is operational efficiency applied to both bus and rail in terms of optimization, cost reduction, etc. We are looking for startups with innovative mobility products or services with a TRL between 7 and 9, and with potential impact, as I said, on one of the several companies' areas of business and interest. And that's all.
Thank you so much, Jose,
Thank you.
for your insights. I think it provides a very good practical point of view from a corporate engaging in open innovation to bring forward solutions. And I think that would be to the benefit of all our participants here
Thanks so much.
today. So as we move on, it is my extreme pleasure to introduce our next panelist. Our next panelist is Ms. Lushana Chedi Singh, who is the technical coordinator for the Boosting Innovation Growth and Entrepreneurship Ecosystem, aka Biggie program at the Development Bank of Jamaica. Luciana is an attorney at law and project manager with over 20 years working experience with both government and multilateral development agencies. So without further ado, Luciana, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Are you seeing my screen clearly? Okay, and good morning again to my esteemed panelists and the participants online. Thank you so much for inviting us to share what we here at the Development Bank of Jamaica through the Biggie program has been doing for open innovation. Okay, so open innovation essentially is the way in which corporations pursue innovation. And as Mr. Rodriguez would have shared earlier, I really love that quote about managing the dance between an elephant and a gazelle. That is how we see open innovation and managing how our corporates and our startups interact. At the Biggie program, we have embarked on a corporate venturing pilot program for 1 year, which is aimed to foster partnerships between corporates and startups. And out of this collaboration, we expect that the partnership that we have forged with Caribbean Export in February will leverage the EU-LAC Digital Accelerator platform that will allow the onboarding of corporates as well as startups across the regions of Latin America, Europe, and the Caribbean to form partnerships. As we have heard earlier from the panel, Caribbean Export, through its partnership with Technalia, will handle the mentorship, coaching, and training, and the Development Bank has stepped in to provide grant funding support to Jamaican startups that have formed partnerships with corporates outside of the region. Some of the benefits that we envision that will be accrued from the program would be to enable Jamaican startups to offer their services internationally. It will familiarize Jamaican corporates with the corporate venturing model, which is new to the Caribbean. And of course, it will bridge the gap of providing financial support, which we have identified when we started sometime back when we launched the Big E program in 2020, that the ecosystem was just not ready for corporate venturing to be introduced. Our objective coming out of the pilot essentially is to support 5 Jamaican innovative startups, and they will receive grant funding between $50 and $75,000 US, in addition to the in-kind support that they would have obtained from the incubator accelerator. Now, how have we managed to develop this ecosystem here at the DBJ? We have identified instruments targeting startups, whether they are at the early stage, just having a concept at the early stage, or corporates. So we have identified different products to develop the participants in the ecosystem depending on the stage at which they're at. So in terms of our incubator strengthening, we have 9 business incubators that we would have supported. And some of these accelerators have the support of the European Business Network and the International Business Incubation Association support. We have trained advisors. We have provided entrepreneurs with technical assistance. On the university strengthening, we have partnered with our local universities, University of the West Indies, University of Technology Jamaica, Northern Caribbean University, and our government agency, the Scientific Research Council. And we have strengthened these institutions to do tech prospection, to harness technology and innovation from our innovators. And to date, we have supported 7 patent applications, and we have had successful patents in WIPO and in US. On the corporate engagement, as I've stated, we have just partnered with Caribbean Export, and we have launched our program, and we are pleased to announce that we have onboarded some 40 entrepreneurs and corporates from Jamaica. And as my colleague Leonard would have stated earlier, we're pleased that we have already secured 1 partnership from a Jamaican company with an Italian firm, and they are in the early stages of accessing their acceleration services. And we would expect that in a few weeks that they would be coming to us at DBJ to access the financing that is available to entrepreneurs. If they're in the early stage, they can also access accelerator strengthening. We have 6 incubators. We have 2 funds, never before in Jamaica. We have an angel fund. We have 30 angel investors. We have approved 3 investments already, and we currently have 7 in the pipeline for consideration. We have a venture capital fund, which is seeded of $15.5 million US, and we have already closed 1 deal to the value of $300,000 US. On the side of the corporates, what we have is a combination of products. So our innovation grant fund, which for us is our flagship product, is that we encourage medium and large companies to think about an innovation. They would have access to a project manager. They would be developing a product, a prototype, and bringing that to market. What we have done with that product, we have supported 31 companies under the Innovation Grant Fund, and we have a cluster fund where companies can merge to do a cluster or a supply chain. And what we have done is to really encourage or have corporates think more seriously about innovating internally. So once they have accepted and they understand how innovation works, they will be minded to consider open innovation and participating in our corporate venturing program. We also have our extension centers that we've supported, and we also have provided our digital vouchers for digitization services. We have just in February, opened our call for partnerships. And just some of the key features of the call, to reiterate, is that we are focused on identifying innovations specifically for clean tech and smart production. We are, of course, encouraging regional participation. So the partnership for the Jamaican entity must come from outside the region. So it has to be a corporate from the EU or Latin America. And we are aware of the in-kind acceleration services that are available through the kind support of Caribbean Exports Partners with Technalia. And of course, we are coming in with financial support. We have gone through the support since our launch in 2020 of the Big E program we are at a stage that we're comfortable. We have been meeting with corporates, we have engaged them, we have helped them to identify challenges, to onboard on the platform, to help them to get into a culture of pursuing open innovation. The startups they have gotten funding, whether to build out an MVP solution, whether to file a patent, whether they have gone through an incubator accelerator program. So we have a competent cadre of startups that are willing and ready to solve the challenges that the corporates may present on the platform. The Digital Accelerator Program provides that technical support, and we provide the financing. So that essentially is the sum total of how the ecosystem works. What we are specifically looking for here at the DBJ is that the Jamaican firms are, of course, they are registered. They are Jamaican nationals. They have the revenue requirement to undertake the assignment. And of course, that they have cash on hand to do the counterpart, as the funds are earmarked for specific activities, and activities that are outside of those costs, they would have to finance themselves. We require that they are a competent team, have an advisory board, and of course that the implementation period is aligned to our project or pilot project program. Once the entities coming to us, they can apply via our application forms will be on our website shortly, and they can apply for grant funding. Once they have demonstrated that they have gone through the EU-LAC accelerator, that they have a partnership, that the partnership application has been approved, that they have been selected for the accelerator support, then they can tap into the financing that is available to them from us. It's a simple process. They complete the application. We do our eligibility checks. The applications, of course, are evaluated by an independent panel of judges. We would shortlist from the pool that we would have had. We would do our due diligence. We would execute agreements, and then we would provide support. Just some key outcomes, again, from the partnership. I'm just so excited, Leo, about us actually having a partnership already. So we have 40 Jamaican companies. If you are on this platform today, I'm encouraging you right now to go and register on the EU-LAC platform. The call was closed on the 30th of April, but there will be other calls throughout the 1-year period of the pilot program. So I'm encouraging you to familiarize yourself with the platform, register, look at possible challenges that are there that you could get yourself ready and prepared for, get your documentation together, build your team, reach out to us. My contact information will be posted, as well as the team from Caribbean Export, on how you can leverage these challenges that are in Europe and Latin America. We will have workshops continuing throughout the year, both for the entrepreneurs, as well as we have one-on-one meetings with the corporates. So this is a call to action to get registered on the platform, and of course, start your journey to exploring new markets as an entrepreneur to find and scale and work with corporates outside of the region. Just as I'm closing, from our experience and our evaluation of the ecosystem, we realize that we have to do these continued interventions through the Big E program and all the other support programs that the EU-LAC will be doing throughout the year. There is a definite excitement within Jamaica about entrepreneurship. We have to continue our focus on specific industries. And of course, we have to, through our programs, we have to continually encourage more investment in innovation. As I stated, never before, we have an angel fund and a venture capital fund here in Jamaica. And of course, we are actively engaging our corporates on the need to be more active in the startup community. So we believe that what we're doing now will actually give the corporates an opportunity to see what our local innovators are capable of doing. And of course, out of all of this, we can unearth climate resiliency and, pursue more women-led projects, which is a focus for us here as one of our targets under our partnership with the IDB and the EU. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or the program manager. And we will be happy to share more information with you on what we're doing here in Jamaica for our innovators who want to bridge that gap to access our corporates. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Luciana. I think it's pretty important to show the private sector in the Caribbean that although open innovation may be a relatively new or novel concept, we do have institutions within the region that are engaging in supporting open innovation. This brings us nicely back to where we started. I would like to reintroduce Leo for the second time to just give us a presentation on Digital Connectors Jamaica. Leo, all yours.
Thank you so much. And thank you for everybody. I know that we're running a little bit over time, but really want to appreciate everybody's participation here and being able to stick around with us for the entirety of the webinar. You know, we are presenting this accelerator and everything that we're doing, particularly this open innovation series, because it's part of the programming that we're not just doing for Jamaica, we're doing for the entire Caribbean. And this is a program, just to respond to some of the comments in the chat, it's available to all Caribbean entities here, both from the corporate and startup side. So we wanted to focus on Jamaica because we've been able to work very closely with partners in Jamaica and provide tangible examples on how this ecosystem in Jamaica is brewing, so we could take ideas for the rest of the region. But I'm going to share my screen very quickly because, sorry, I hit the wrong button. Because as a result of that partnership that we've been able to do in Jamaica, we're about to launch our digital connectors. Give me 1 second. Our Digital Connectors initiative. So Digital Connectors is really a program where we are taking a deep dive into a specific country and bringing forward and leveraging the opportunities with startups and corporates to be able to bring the programming virtually and in person to the country. Last year, in 2024, we launched this initiative of digital connectors in the Dominican Republic, where the consortium members planned a series of lead-up activities virtually that led to in-person interactions where we engage with corporates and startups and really brought forward the value proposition of the accelerator to the Dominican Republic. So as leveraging this partnership with the Development Bank of Jamaica, we'll be doing the same in Jamaica, launching Digital Connectors Jamaica. And we really there want to boost that digital transformation capabilities and really promote the business opportunities and internet, ensuring that both corporates and startups are able to link up internationally across Europe and Latin America. So what we're planning is a series of events that would target corporates, so we can help them ideate challenges and being able to take advantage of what the accelerator is able to pair them with. We also want to work with startups at looking at the existing challenges and seeing and profiling what are their capabilities and potentials to be able to connect with these corporates. And we also want to engage with the overall innovation ecosystem, those business support organizations, those accelerators, so we can tap into those existing networks to ensure that anybody and everybody that is interested in collaborating in this accelerator has access to it, is able to connect with the team, so we are able to ensure and do a little bit of hand holding so you can participate in the accelerator. What are the benefits? Well, you'll definitely be getting capacity building on key thematic areas like AI and cybersecurity. We'll be able to have one-on-one relationships with the team, and seeing how we can incorporate you into the accelerator. For corporate specifically, we can help ideate those innovation challenges that sometimes are not as visible to you when we go and present a way of really coming up with those challenges and seeing how we can connect you with the startups. For startups, we help you profile the challenges and coach you in a way of that you can articulate your solution proposal in a way that would be interesting for the corporate. And then for the innovation agents, is really looking at how do we leverage you as multipliers and ensure that your stakeholder groups are able to have access to the program. So in terms of online activities, we're going to be having some sessions on corporate venturing, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence for acceleration, and overall cooperation. And these will be taking place in June of 2025. More specifically, we're going to be having two main online activities. The first one would be focusing on how AI can boost your startup and accelerating growth. That will take place on June 11th. And all of you that have registered for the program will receive an invitation right then and there. It'll also be posted in our website and our different social media channels. And we will also leverage our team on the ground, particularly partners like DBJ, JamPro, Rev Up Accelerator, the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce in Jamaica, to be able to roll out these invitations to the overall audience. We'll also be focusing on doing a session on cybersecurity for startups and how do you do a strategic protection in this digital age, and that will be taking place on June 11th. Besides the online activities, we also want to be on the ground in beautiful Jamaica to be able to provide a series of in-person activities that really help us take a deep dive into how do you digitalize your business, how do you go international, and how do we start that conversation that we'll be talking about partnering with corporations. So for that, my colleague Ruben would be next week in Jamaica, and the EBN will be leading an activity really focusing on entrepreneurial mindset and financials for business accelerators. And you'll also get some information on that. And then the crux of the matter and the good part of the program is, all of us here today will be descending in Jamaica from June 23rd to June 25th. We'll be hosting a specific workshop for startups on matching with corporate challenges. We'll also be having one-on-one meetings with the startups to be able to coach you throughout and really ensure your engagement with the accelerator. And then with corporates, what we want to do is have these one-on-one corporate workshops for challenge ideation. So the entire accelerator consortium will be in Jamaica, really motivating that participation. And this is something that we hope to roll out to another country in the Caribbean throughout the length of the program. So we've had Dominican Republic last year, Jamaica this year, and hopefully by next year we'll be able to descend in another part of the Caribbean and possibly do something much that involves other countries that we could all meet in one place. So that is where we will that's in terms of what we're looking to achieve with digital connectors. So we're really excited for you all that have joined us today, because you are part of this launch, of this push that we're doing to really drive up Caribbean participation into the accelerator. So just as a matter of recap for those in Jamaica, today we will count it as our launch event. May 16th, we'll have the event with EBN in Jamaica. June 11th and 12th, we'll have the webinars on AI and cybersecurity. We'll be doing our in-person workshops in Jamaica from the 23rd to the 25th of June. And then all of July, we'll dedicate it to really following up with all of these meetings and ensuring that all of the stakeholders that have participated are thoroughly engaged with the accelerator. So if you want to participate, we've already have your information, so we will definitely be reaching out. And I've shared my email and my previous presentation, but I'll leave it in the chat so you can also reach out and let us know your interest in participating. Thank you very much. I revert back to Jonathan for our closing remarks.
Thank you, Leo. Are you all still hearing me? Yes, great. So thank you for that, Leo. Thanks for launching Digital Connectors Jamaica and giving us that call to action. I hope to see many firms in Jamaica for these sessions. We have inevitably come to the end of all of our panel presentations. However, at this point in time, we just want to highlight some questions that you, the participants, have been asking. I know the question and answer tab has recently gotten very active. Our panelists have been busy answering some questions, but there are one or two questions that I wanted to put out to the panelists here. Some would have already been answered, but just in case there are those participants who may not have seen it and or seen the answer, I think it would be worthwhile for them to know. One thing that I've noticed some participants are asking is, how do startups engage these collaborations with bigger corporations? So there was one person asking for any direct advice or connections on how to get the appropriate people in these corporations, in these corporates, to trigger collaboration, which is very important, as we've been saying throughout the entire, or as the panelists have been saying throughout the entire discussion, it's about collaboration. So naturally, the question is, how do we start that collaboration process? What I would like is if Leo, if you could shed some light on this, and maybe I can ask one or two panelists after to jump in.
Yes, thank you. For us, how can startups engage? That's definitely the first point would be for us to contact the team, and we can work with you in really profiling and understanding what is the solution that you're doing, what is the areas that you really are engaging with. We can also do a hand holding in terms of seeing what are the challenges that are currently out there being put by corporates, and seeing how best you can articulate that response to see if a partnership can be arranged. The other way is also you can take a do it on your own engagement and register in this matching platform, because there you'll be able to see on firsthand, it's readily available and it's quite user friendly on what are the corporate challenges that are there. But I always advocate for the value added that the team can provide, and for us in Caribbean Export, particularly for Caribbean stakeholders, we have a dedicated team that is looking to, schedule a meeting with you and really engage and articulate how you can start, preparing a solutions-oriented proposal to a corporate challenge. And if there are no challenges that you can respond to, we definitely still want you to be part of that community, because as I think Paco has indicated in the chat, other open calls in different sector areas will be coming up. So new challenges will be articulated. And I want you to think of the program as a living and breathing entity where it constantly changes, new challenges are being put on board. So there's always an opportunity for startups to be able to engage. And it's completely free. I mean, that's the best part. I think this is a program that has been put forward by the European Union and really bridging a cross-regional opportunity for link up. It's not about taking advantage or anything. It's really about fostering partnerships. And the good thing about partnerships is that we try for them to always be win-win.
Thanks for that, Leo. And I think it's important that you also mentioned that there will also be other open calls for different sectors, because I did see in the chat some people were asking about their specific sector that they are in. So I think it's really good for the participants to note that. I would just ask, because I saw one comment question. I am not seeing it now, but in any case, um, in terms of the usability of the EU-LAC matching platform, Miguel, could you probably just give us some insight on how user-friendly the platform is? I know sometimes people can get a bit discouraged when they enter a platform and they have no idea where to go and how to use it. Is there any could you shed some light on how user friendly the platform is, so that people aren't scared to not go on the platform?
No, sure. I mean, the platform is easy to use. At the very end, is a marketplace of challenge that are available for our community. So in that sense, is easy to use. You can go to the challenge section and then you can check all the challenge that you have, and you can send a direct message to corporates. So on that sense is easy to use. What I want to highlight is, I mean, the volume of message that corporates are getting is quite high. I mean, we are moving this initiative in 3 continents at the same time. I think currently we have more than 60 active challenge. So our recommendation is always to be very selective. I mean, corporates are looking for very specific solutions. I mean, the more selective startups are on sending message to corporates, more chances they have to engage with them. At the very end, the role of the accelerator is to promote the matchmaking. And our role is to filter everything that is coming through the platform and other challenge. But I mean, my main recommendation is that when writing to corporates, be very specific on why your startup can solve the challenge and the impact you may have. It helps a lot to have a response from them.
Thanks a lot, Miguel. Thanks a lot. Sorry. I am just scrolling through the chat, the question and answer. Many of the questions have been answered directly by the panelists, so we thank the panelists for their time in answering these questions. So, and yes, I saw Paco just sent in the chat a tutorial on how to use the platform. So I think that is very, very important so that you don't get lost in it. I would say that we've more or less come to the end of our session today. Let me just take another look in the question and answer. Right. So I think that yeah. So I think we've answered most of the questions. We have already gone a bit over time. What I would encourage all the participants to do, you will have access to the presentations and to the recording where you will find all the panelists' information. We encourage you to reach out to them directly if you have any further questions. There were several links posted in the chat by Paco to the EU-LAC Digital Accelerator social media so that you can keep well informed of what is taking place. I'd like to close off by thanking all the panelists for providing their insights and thanking you, the participants, for staying with us for this almost 2 hours. So with that, all thanks and hope to see you soon. And also, just before we go, there is a brief survey about the webinar in the chat. So if you can do us a big favor and fill it out, we'll be much appreciated. So thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.